on the side. Probably because they stopped Manchester United from winning trophies.
It was 5-1, right?
5-1 against the Netherlands, and then 3-1 against Chile. Again, so that World Cup was the beginning of pressing. So the possession style of football of Spain getting absolutely ruined by a high pressing Chile side. Sort of the genesis of Alexis Sanchez and his Tyro running. Germany playing fantastic football. England getting knocked out in the group stages. Costa Rica with that incredible run to the quarterfinals. Louis van Gaal trying to get this unfancy Netherlands side to a semi-final. Lionel Messi's best chance of winning the World Cup. Pope gives a lot of nonsense for Messi not doing much or never really turning on in a World Cup semi-final and a World Cup final. But like Messi was the best player. There was a lot of one of those weird things where Messi got the golden ball for the best player at that final at the World Cup, and people went, "Why? He's only got it because of Adidas." And then you look at the stats, and Messi was the best player at that World Cup by a long way.
Pause. So this whole decade, Messi never won anything for Argentina.
Nope. And it's largely Higuaín's fault.
Well, I mean, it's not like they didn't have strikers. I mean, you could have played Aguero. They had options.
They did. Ralph Hogstein's book, Das Reboot, on the new birth of German football was fantastic, on basically how Germany went from not playing particularly good football in 2001 to playing this amazing, energetic, pressing football, where Mario Götze scored a goal that he'd been practicing since the age of 9 in the World Cup final. Mario Götze, there's a big story of a player who started part of this decade looking at one of the best players in the world, and it's ending the decade as
a false 9 still for Dortmund, I think.
Not a first team choice. If he is first team, Dortmund don't tend to win a game, isn't that?
That's kind of accurate.
Quite sad.
Didn't he had like some autoimmune disease, or
he's got a metabolism problem. I think it's fair to say he always looks as if he's got puppy fat, if you know that term. Yeah, so it can be hard for him to keep off weight and to keep focus and be as athletic as he would like to be. But that World Cup was incredible, and I think some of the lessons from that World Cup were basically, this is it. This decade will now be defined by pressing and will be defined by teams that can play aggressive helter-skelter football.
Can we take one moment to discuss the most infamous game of this decade?
Sure thing.
7-1.
Yes, please.
My Lord in heaven.
We've always wanted to do this on the podcast, where we just simply record the podcast, press play, and watch the 7-1 again. And we'll do this one day. And there's an excellent segment in Das Reboot about the 7-1 and how Germany went into that game. And we're very much like, okay, it's Brazil. It's a Brazil World Cup. We need to take this very, very seriously. And then the moment Brazil come out holding Neymar tops, Captain David Luiz singing, and Germany were very much so. But Neymar's not dead. What's?
It was like he died.
Germany had a very clear game plan, because they noticed some problems with Brazil, how unbalanced they were, particularly with Marcelo. So Marcelo, if you watch that game, anyone wants, I think the game is, you can watch the whole thing on YouTube. Watch the very first kickoff and look how far up the pitch Marcelo is. Look how far up the pitch he is from the Brazil kickoff. He's playing left wing. He's not playing left back.
There was no Thiago Silva, right?
There is no Thiago Silva as well, which is another thing that is overlooked in terms of the Neymar thing. It was not only was Neymar injured and they were feeling the effects of that, but also Thiago Silva, who, for all intents and purposes, was the best centre back in the world at that time. And I think Thiago Silva has secretly been one of the best centre backs in the world the entire decade. Just no one really paid attention
because he's in Paris.
Yeah. Thiago Silva, is the guy who tells David Luiz where to stand.
But no, they had Marcelo and Maicon starting the game.
Mm-hmm. 2 fullbacks.
That's dangerous.
Yep.
I see. I haven't watched the game back in a bit, but I need to.
Germany were
5 goals after 30 minutes, basically.
Yep. And I remember, I've said this before, every World Cup I put money on Brazil winning, and I said I need to stop doing this because Brazil don't look like going to win a World Cup. And I remember I was going into that game, I was sat next to one of my best friends, and I was like, Brazil's going to win this World Cup. And then the team lineups came announced, and we saw the BBC graphic, and we saw Germany's team, and we saw Brazil's team, and Brazil's midfield came up, and I went, what? Who are these players? And then Germany's midfield of Toni Kroos, this one. And my friend looks at me and goes, are you sure Brazil's going to win? Oh, no, we'll be fine. and there wasn't a gap between the third goal and the fifth goal for him to say, "I told you so."
Nah.
Again, in a very similar thing, much like the more recent game I watched that ended 9-0. Just they get to a point where all the goals are going in so quickly, and you can go, you just go, "Oh, I told you." Wait, what the hell is going on? So,
yeah. Well, now that I think about it, Brazil won a World Cup in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. They didn't win one in the 80s. They won in the 90s and the 2000s. So this is only the second decade that they haven't won a World Cup.
Brazil's footballing advantage is rapidly going away as countries with bigger economies and as the industrialization of football continues. Think about it. Brazil got knocked out of the last World Cup by Belgium. Where were Belgium in 2010?
Where are Belgium going to be in 10 years, though?
Well, this is
Brazil's
very
always
good
going to be
question.
good. So
yeah,
this is like Belgium. The start of Belgium is like maybe 2012, 2013. The maturation of Hazard, De Bruyne, Lukaku's coming, company's there. I think Euro 2020 and I guess World Cup 2022. That's going to be kind of like how Spain did in 2010, 2012. That might be how Belgium get down, but we'll see.
It's now or never for this generation
Right.
of Belgium, and I don't know which Belgian players are coming through after this, because when was the last time you saw Yannis boss a game?
what happened to that dude? Added that Januzaj. All right. So damn, we're only at 2014. We still got a few years left, but
Let's speed through this. 2015.
Yeah, 2015, man. Barcelona treble,
MSN.
I think.
Woohoo! It was MSN. This was when Neymar had finally
peak Messi, bro.
For you? I mean, peak Messi was it 2013 where he finished the calendar year with 91
the one
goals?
He had like 90 goals. Yeah.
That was ridiculous. I mean,
yeah, MSN
Barcelona I really enjoyed watching because I just enjoy watching the team scoring goals rather than strangling.
Do you give Enrique any credit? Or are you one of the ones that says like a dog could have won with that team?
Well, they couldn't because they didn't win after that, did they? That's the last Champions League they've won, isn't it? So I'm not going to say a dog could have won afterwards. I think Enrique, yes, he had three of the best forwards in the world at the time, but it takes a certain amount of nous. It maybe not tactical nous, but perhaps ego massaging, whatnot, to get those three members of playing personnel to play evenly. And this was very much the appearance of Neymar, and everyone going, "Oh wait, Neymar's not just a YouTube player, but Neymar is one of the best players in the world." Rakitic looked amazing in midfield. This is also probably the last time Paul Pogba was one of the top 10 players in the world as well.
Oh no!
I'm going to say it.
So going to Manchester United ruined him.
I'm not going to say ruined him. I think
I will.
Pogba's trajectory at that time. So let's bear in mind that Champions League Juventus side had the BBC. It had Pirlo, Pogba, and I want to say
Arturo Vidal.
Yes, as well. Patrice Evra, left back. It was an incredibly well selected Juventus side, and sort of the playing staff involved in it was really put together. Pogba had a platform to do whatever he wanted because he had Pirlo behind him to do stuff, and he had Marquisio next to him to do legs. And this was very much everyone going, "Oh, this Paul Pogba guy's amazing." This was also me as a Manchester United fan who's just seen, Van Gaal play with Nick Powell as United get knocked out in the group stage. Go, "Oh God, why have we sold Paul Pogba? Paul Pogba's everything I need."
This is also like peak Vine era, by the way.
It was peak Vine era. 2015. Who wins the Premier League in 2015? Chelsea won it at a canter. The league was more or less sewn up by January. Because they bought Cesc Fabregas, and Cesc Fabregas went, "Right, I'm just going to pass it to Diego Costa."
And they bought Fabregas, Costa, and Felipe Luis.
Yep.
By the way, we didn't really talk about 2014. The Champions League was won by Madrid, but I don't think we really understood what that team was about until we get to like 2016.
Yes.
Because they won that one Champions League with Gareth Bale, and you think, "Oh, okay." But then in the back of people's minds, there's this idea that nobody's going to win a Champions League twice in a row. So Barca win, and it's like, cool. Then Madrid win again. It's like, cool. But then we get into this era of like just Madrid dominance in the Champions League, which I find it's one of the more peculiar things. How would you describe